Hey, welcome to The Explainer. So today we're tackling something pretty much every homeowner has to deal with at some point, that big, kind of scary repair or rebuild project. We've taken some expert advice from a local contractor and turned it into a playbook that, honestly, anyone can use to feel way more confident about their next home project.
So where do you even start, right? You've got that leaky faucet that's just drip, 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 driving you nuts. Or maybe it's way more serious, like some major storm damage. It can feel totally overwhelming. And you're not alone. People everywhere are dealing with everything from old houses just getting older to some pretty wild weather. The big question is always, what's the very first step?
So here's the plan for this explainer. We're going to break it all down for you. We'll start with why this is such a dilemma, then get into figuring out what you actually need. From there, we'll walk through the super important step of picking a contractor, what the project process looks like, how to handle the costs, and we'll wrap up with a checklist you can use to get started. Think of it as your roadmap to get from chaos to calm.
You know, when you get right down to it, it doesn't matter if you're fixing a tiny leak or rebuilding half your house. The goal is always the same. You just want to get your home back to being safe, functional, and of course, protecting its value. Okay, so moving on, let's figure out what you actually need. Because let's be real, not all home problems are created equal, right? Getting a handle on the size and scope of your project is the first real step to finding the right person for the job and not getting sticker shock later on. This table actually breaks it down really nicely. Think about it this way. Are you looking at a basic repair, something to stop a small problem from becoming a huge one? Or is it more of a renovation, like finally updating that kitchen from the 70s? Or, worst case, are you facing a full rebuild because of some major damage? Just being able to put your project into one of these boxes helps you explain what you need so much more clearly.
Okay, listen up, because this next part, it's a big one. After you figure out what you need, you gotta find out who can do it. And let me tell you, choosing the right contractor is not just some small detail. It is, single-handedly, the most important decision that will make or break your entire project. For real.
So how do you actually do that? Well, you follow this 4-step process. Seriously, don't just pick the first person you find online. First, verify they're licensed and insured. Check their past work. Do the pictures look like the quality you're after? Always get a detailed estimate in writing. And finally, make sure that contract has protections for you, like a warranty. This isn't just busy work. It's what protects you and helps you spot those huge red flags, like someone asking for a massive cash deposit up front. Okay, here's a bit of lingo you've got to get familiar with. The change order process. Trust me on this. Projects change. It's just a fact. You might decide you hate the paint color, or they might open a wall and find something unexpected. A formal change order process just means you both agree on any changes in writing. It's what saves you from arguments and surprise costs later. And look, this quote from our source material really just nails it. Those 3 things, a clear contract, that change order process, and a good warranty, they're basically the 3 pillars that are going to protect you and your money through this whole thing. They are your best friends during a renovation. So once you've got your contractor locked in, things should start to feel a lot less chaotic. You've signed the contract, and now the real work starts. A good project shouldn't feel like a wild ride. It should follow a clear, predictable roadmap. And this is pretty much what that roadmap looks like. It all kicks off with that first consultation, where they come and see the space. Then you'll get the real proposal and start picking out materials. After that, they should give you a timeline so you know what's happening when. And this is key. There should be constant communication and updates. That structure makes everything feel so much more manageable. All right, let's talk about the thing everyone dreads, the money, the bottom line. And before we even get into the nitty-gritty, here's my #1 piece of advice. Have a contingency fund. Seriously. Budget an extra 10, maybe even 20% for those fun surprises that always seem to pop up. Okay, so now what should you be looking for in an estimate?
And this is so important. You need to know the difference between a real, itemized estimate and just some vague quote scribbled on a napkin. One number tells you nothing. It makes it impossible to compare different contractors, and you have no idea where your money is actually going. You have to insist on an itemized estimate that breaks down all the costs, labor, materials, permits, everything. It's all about transparency.
And the money talk doesn't stop with the estimate, right? You got to remember, the cheapest price is almost never the best deal, especially if it has a terrible warranty. Also, ask about how you'll pay. A good contractor will set up payments based on milestones, so you're not paying for everything up front. And hey, if it's a huge project, it never hurts to ask if they have financing options.
Okay, So we've talked about what you need, who's going to do it, how it'll get done, and what it's going to cost. The last piece of this whole puzzle, well, it's you. There's actually some homework you can do before you even pick up the phone that'll make the whole thing go way, way smoother.
So yeah, you've got some homework to do before making that first call. Here's your game plan. First, make a super detailed list of everything you want done. Then, take pictures of the problem spots, maybe even grab some measurements. And talk to your neighbors, see who they've used. Walking into that first meeting with all this stuff ready to go, it will not only help you get a better proposal, it shows the contractor you're serious and organized.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's that this whole process, it doesn't have to be a total nightmare. It really doesn't. When you're prepared, when you know what to ask for, when you vet your contractor and demand transparency, you're in control. You can go into any project feeling confident, not anxious. After all, you're the one writing your home's next chapter.